Welcome to the Orlando Sentinel's editorial board interview for Osceola County Property Appraiser. This is a very big job that often doesn't get as much attention as some of the other offices, but has a lot to do with how much tax people end up paying on their homes, on their businesses, and it is a big and complex job that is extremely critical to the operation of just about every local government office that we have. The current property appraiser is Katrina Scarborough. She was a longtime employee of the office who was elected as the property appraiser in 2008 and has been subsequently reelected. So she is being challenged in this cycle by realtor community volunteer Jenny Shunar. She will not be joining us today, but she does have a website, and we do encourage and some social media presence. So you are certainly welcome to take a look at her platform and do some investigation of her yourself. Just to get a good idea of what she's running on. But we wanted to start off with something that is a major concern as we're taping this on everybody's mind. And that is there is a monster storm out in the Gulf that is about to mow right across Florida. And we don't know yet exactly where it'll go, but we're pretty sure that Osceola County will not be unscathed. Property appraisers often play a big unsung role in storm recovery. So, Ms. Scarborough, I'd like to ask you, what will your office be working on once Milton has passed?
Good morning. Thank you. Our office actually today has been preparing, actually yesterday and today, to send out damage assessment teams as soon as it's safe for us to be out in the county and assess the damage. So any reported damage to the EOC or to the cities, the county, they will direct us to where the damage is. And then our staff, along with city staff and county staff, will go and assess the damage and report back to the Emergency Operations Center. We've met with the staff today just to make sure the software is working, answer any questions. We've got maps ready. So we anticipate as soon as it's safe, we will be out driving the streets looking for where the damage is so that we can report that back.
I wanted to follow up really quickly. And this is really more of a point of information. If somebody's house is significantly damaged and to the point where their property value is affected, will you be able to apply that to the current tax bill, or will it be something that's reflected in next year's assessment?
So it will not apply to the current. There is a law and a form that can be filled out if it's uninhabitable for 30 days to apply for a refund. But we would not do anything right away. Obviously, it will take us some time if there is any damage to a structure to assess how much the damage is. But it would be applied, especially if they're out of it for several months and it's not been rebuilt as of January 1st, that will be reflected in next year. But I encourage anyone who has any kind of damage to send an email to our office, to contact our office once we reopen, and we will be glad to go out and gather information and get them anything that they are entitled to. But we need them to help us report, if they have any damage. But no, it would not apply to the bill that comes out in November. However, they could apply for a refund if it's uninhabitable, and I would just encourage them to contact the office for more information.
Thank you for that. I wanted to ask you about exemptions. What are you doing to ensure that county residents are getting every exemption for which they qualify?
So we are in the community constantly. I go and speak to various groups myself. I have staff that goes to events. I go to events. We advertise in the newspaper, on social media, on bus stops. I'm always asking groups, if you have a suggestion on getting the information out, please, I'm open to anything. We do send a a letter to all new property owners, letting them know that they may qualify for an exemption. So I feel that we are always looking for better ways, but we do actively in the community working to get the information out. As a matter of fact, we were at Viva Osceola this past Sunday for as long as we could, just to be present so that we can help people get the exemptions they're entitled to. During the month of January and February, we go around the county to the different libraries and try to be available closer to home. So I would say we're doing everything that we possibly can and looking for new ways to constantly get that information into the community.
Thank you. And I wanted to follow up on that. This year, Florida voters will weigh in on a constitutional amendment that would update the value of an exemption every year. And you are one of the experts in Osceola County on the value of these exemptions. Do you think that's a good idea? And do you plan to vote for Amendment 5?
So to explain it a little bit, what that does is it applies a factor to the inflation will be applied to the second $25,000 that property owners receive. So it's not going to be the full $50,000 homestead exemption. It will be the second $25,000. There's an argument both ways, I'm sure. I do not know the stance on the different governments. And we have not done any research to see what the dollar amount it would be to affect the total governments versus a property owner. I think that for the first couple of years, it will be a small amount. I am still researching myself. So I have not taken a stance either way because I, like anybody else, want to make sure that I educate myself. My organization just facilitates the information and gets it out to the property owners. I just did a presentation a couple weeks ago where I just let them know that it's out there, and I just encourage everyone to research their own and come up with their own. As a property owner, it's beneficial. It's going to save you a little bit of money. For the cities and the county, it may decrease the amount of money, but I can't answer to actually what the dollar amount is for that. But I do think it is an advantage for a property owner. Most likely, I will vote for it because I'm a property owner. I can save money on my taxes, but I'm still researching everything just like everybody else.
Thank you. I wanted to jump over to another topic. I know that as a property owner, you can challenge the determination of the value of your property. Do you believe that Osceola residents feel that their challenges are handled fairly right now?
I feel that they're handled fairly. As an average property owner, say, someone who has a home, I encourage everyone to contact the office. My staff knows that my expectation is that we listen to their concerns, we take a look at their value, make sure that we are basing it fairly on what properties are selling for, because I am mandated by the state to look at sales, comparable sales. And so I do feel that we are fair with the property owners. Even the commercial property, which are the 99% of the value adjustment board hearings are on commercial properties, which would be apartment buildings and retail. I do feel we're fair. We listen to the property owner. We take it into consideration what information they may have because they are the property owner. They know better about their property. We're looking at over 200,000 parcels. So obviously we're not looking at each individual. We're looking at the mass. So I encourage, and I always do when I speak, encourage everyone. I don't care if it's a hotel owner all the way down to a single family home to contact the office. We should be able to tell you how we arrived at your value. So I do feel it's fair because we listen to the property owner when they contact us.
Well, I wanted to follow up a little bit more about how you do come to those valuations. We've heard a lot of talk, both with private appraisers and with property appraisers, about different new techniques and technology that can be used to assure that all properties are appraised fairly and accurately. What's new in the way that your office is handling this, and how do you integrate that into the tried and true methods of keeping property appraisals up to date?
So we look at what properties are selling for in a particular area, similar properties, just like a fee appraiser would, who is assessing a property for a mortgage. We just have to do it on a mass basis, like an entire subdivision where someone for a mortgage is going to look at one particular property. We're looking at the whole. We're going to look at all of those sales, and then we're going to come up with the average, because that's going to be the most fair. Because some people will pay a lot more, some people will pay a lot less. So we look at what the average is for that particular area. We use a mass appraisal system, and we also use maps. And by inputting, or displaying that information on a map, it can show you something that's an outlier very easy. I'm a big believer in a picture is worth 1,000 words. And a lot of my background in the office is using our mapping system. So I like to see it on a map, and we could take that information, put it on a map, color code, and let us know if something is out of the range or if something doesn't make sense. So by using that newer technology with the maps, because back when I started many, many years ago, we did not have that ability. So we try very hard to stay on top of that technology, because it does help us to work smarter and not harder, and help show any outliers in sales, or if we have a value that might be a little high compared to another one. It just will kind of help us dial down and make sure that we're more fair and equitable across the board.
Just a really quick follow-up. Have you considered using drones? I know that some places are using drones.
I absolutely have considered using drones. And actually, I looked into possibly getting one this year. They're expensive, for sure. And I want to make sure that if I do purchase something like that, that we have a very good use for it. I'm going to be honest, if we had one now, it would be very helpful with the damage assessment. And I know that I can reach out to the other government agencies, and they will be more than willing to help us. And we may do that. We may use some drones. But yes, I have talked for the last several years about purchasing a drone, because I do think it would be advantageous to help us to especially look at a larger area. I know it would be super helpful with damage assessment, especially if there's flooding, because we can fly over that and see what houses may have water in them. But it also would be helpful to just kind of overlook and see what's going on. People don't want the appraisers in their backyard like used to. And I'm sure there's probably just as many people who may not want that drone, but we're not trying to be intrusive. We're trying to do a better job at what we do, so that we do treat everyone more fairly and equitably. So yes, I am considering and will continue to consider drone until I'm ready to spend that money, because they are a little expensive.
Thank you for that. I have a pretty simple question. Do you believe the property appraiser should be an elected office? Because I know there's time to be spent with campaign and media and everything else, and you have a pretty busy job. So,
yes, I'm often asked that question, and I do believe it should be elected, because if it's appointed, the question would be, who would be the person appointing? And then being an elected official, the way that we're set up, I set the value as the property appraiser. The taxing authorities, which would be the school boards, the city councils, the county commission, set the tax rate, and then the tax collector collects the taxes. So it's a very simple division of duties, just like in accounting. You don't have the same person who's accepting the bill, approving the bill, paying the bill. It's very simple, just separation of duties. So that's why I think it should still be an elected position. You're right, it's very time consuming and it's stressful for an election. However, I think that it's worked well for many, many years. And not that I'm not open to other avenues, but I do think it's worked well for many years.
You have been so efficient in answering all our questions that we've actually gone through the ones that we wanted to ask you about, to give voters a good idea of what you plan to do if reelected. I want to throw in one more, and then we'll go to your closing. What are you proudest of the time that you've been in office? What do you look back on and say, yeah, I did good with that one?
Wow. I think there's several things. I'm very proud of the improvements that we've made with technology in the office. I feel I've helped to make it better for the property owner, as I created the online homestead so someone can sit at home and file for homestead, which has also helped internally with the staff. With our technology upgrades, it's helped us to be more efficient internally with what we do, and also helping the property owner sit at home and not have to physically come into the office with the online filing information, all the information that I put out on the website. And I'm very proud of the community outreach program that I created back in 2017, 2018. We really have worked hard to get into the community. Most people don't know the property appraiser exists, much less what we do. And so I am very proud of the strides that we've made in order to get out into the community and help educate property owners and mortgage brokers and real estate title companies, be in the community. My staff goes and volunteers with several different organizations. So I don't know that there's actually just one thing. I mean, I think collectively it's all of those things, but I do probably the most proud is the community involvement. I was raised to be a part of the community. My parents were involved in the community. And so I have tried real hard to facilitate that with the office, but also to be out in the community in official capacity so that we get that information to the property owners so that they get the exemptions that they're entitled to.
Thank you so much. I wanted to remind the people who are watching this that the Sentinel will be making a recommendation in this race. But as I mentioned before we started, that doesn't mean that you have to follow our recommendation. There's a lot of information out there about these candidates. There have been some forums. There are, both of them have websites, social media presences. And so take a look and evaluate their experience and their ideas for the office. And most importantly, remember that on November 5th or before, you will be voting on this race. So with that, I'd like to invite Ms. Scarborough to make a closing pitch as to why people should keep her on the job as Osceola's property appraiser.
Thank you. I think that I should be reelected. I have proven to be a part of the community. I've done a good job. I literally have grown up in the office. I started when I was 16 and moved through the office, starting at the front counter, moving all the way up, and was reelected in 2008 and has been reelected every 4 years since there. So I believe that my record has proven that I do a good job. I listen to the community. I'm in the community. Everything that I do is transparent, efficient, and I think that all you have to do is just do a little bit of research about the job that I've done and know that I've worked here my whole life, as an adult life rather, and that I have proven that I'm dedicated to the office, to my job, and to the community. So I would appreciate that they consider all of that in deciding who they vote for.
Thank you so much.